Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Konagalla, and my presentation today is about my firsthand look at urban poverty. I am a rising senior at Chantilly High School in Northern Virginia, and an extracurricular I participate in is MedLife, a nonprofit organization that aims to aid low-income communities in countries like Peru and Ecuador in regards to medicine, education, and safe homes. I am also a district representative for a project called ASAP, the Advancement for Student Accessibility Project, a group focused on empowering disadvantaged youth in Fairfax County. We are working with the school board member, Abrar Ramesh, to keep families informed and connected to make sure that students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged are being represented and advocated for. Also, for the past 11 years, I have been learning and performing a classical Indian dance style called Bharatanatyam. Lastly, my career plans are to become a physician, but I'm not sure which specialty inside of medicine just yet. My presentation will be about my first major interaction with individuals in extreme poverty in such a large magnitude and how my worldview was affected by that. I know how cliche it may sound, but in my case, it's very true. Last spring, I went on a service trip to Lima, Peru through MedLife, the organization I introduced in my previous slide. And a general overview of the trip is that we set up free medical mobile clinics in underprivileged communities, and we served about 300 people every day in the clinics. And we helped them build a community green space as well. During clinics, I was able to learn that health issues can vary greatly throughout different climates and regions. And in Lima, people had issues related to their lungs because of the dusty mountains of Peru. For this reason, many patients we interacted with had asthma, pneumonia, or pharyngitis, or many variations of those. Our first day there, we went on a reality tour in a community called Pueblos Jóvenes to understand and see how the people live, how we can help, and what their needs are. I don't think anyone truly understands how bad urban poverty, or any poverty in general, how bad it is unless they literally see it firsthand at such a large scale like I did. Usually where I live near DC, one doesn't generally see literal mountains stacked with homes in low-income and impoverished communities like I did in Lima, like the ones in this photo on the right. If you look at the picture on the left, though, that's a photo that was taken on a tourist street, which you can tell by all the posh buildings lining the sides of the streets. And what hit me the most was that a couple hundred feet across from us, you can see these homes in low-income communities, even in such a touristy area of Lima. And I can guarantee you that most of the people on that street did not bat an eye at the sight because it was normal for them. Seeing the dire circumstances that 22% of their Peruvian, like Lima natives were in, that was a very like jarring experience for me. And then if you look at the photo on the right, it's obvious how much the Peruvian government does not care or want to help them and mainly focuses a lot on their tourism and the money related aspect. So you can literally see here, if you guys can see my cursor, I'm not sure, but here you can see kind of the break between all the tourism aspects, which are like, this is the water, so near like the seaside. And then on this side, it's all the underprivileged communities, full of like the darker colors and not as like nice to look at. In fact, the government is so ashamed of and disgusted by these communities that in the 1980s, a wall of shame was constructed separating the rich and the poor in Lima. And that wall is still up, which pushes the socioeconomic disparities in Lima even further. And these are all actually photos I took myself on the trip. So now with the COVID situation, they're struggling even more than usual. They're facing their worst nightmare. Both food and water supply are very consistent and almost completely cut off. For food, they need money, but most of them are out of jobs because they have informal jobs, such as fruit stands on the sides of streets and things like that. And Peru's quarantine restrictions related to COVID have stopped them from going out and making money for their families. These people already don't have constant drinking water, and I cannot imagine how it is for them now. Usually they have to store their water in old recycled chemical containers, which is already not safe, and they have to buy water tanks from outside companies every couple of weeks. Therefore, many of the families in these communities greatly depend on NGOs and foreign nonprofits to help them out, especially during the current pandemic. Generally speaking, in US dollars, it does not cost too much to feed one family of 4 to 5, 3 meals a day. I want you guys to type your guesses in the chat really quick, and I'm curious to know what you all think. So I'll just leave a couple seconds for everyone to do that. But it actually only costs $4.30 for one family's meals for one day. I'm gonna let the number sink in for a moment because I was thinking that, assume that many of you guys would assume that it's much more. Even my own parents thought that it was $15 when I first asked them. So that was kind of crazy for me because $4.30 does not get us much here in the US, but that can get a whole family of like 2 parents and 2 to 3 kids meals for a whole day. So it costs about $30 if you do the math. So to help alleviate some of these low-income families' concerns with food and water, MedLife launched this movement called Moving Mountains. And so we are trying to raise as much money as possible to give to these communities so they can use them to buy food and water, because the costs of both have gone up even though less people have jobs and employment in general now. So if you guys want to help out and donate, monetary help or not, anything's appreciated. So please check out these 2 links. The one on the left is just to donate, and then on the one on the right, you can actually help us do a power hour, which is basically when we reach out to, like in 1 hour, we just reach out to as many people as possible and ask for help with moving mountains. And yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you to my friends and my dad who helped me practice this presentation on them. And thank you all for listening today. I hope it was an enjoyable and eye-opening experience. Feel free to reach out to me anytime through my email, and I'm also on the GroupMe chat that we have for this conference. Thank you.